Make that big boss less special. It ain't no game, but they saying welcome to the second level. Second level.
Hello, Internet, and welcome back, or welcome to our coverage of Pixelpop 2018. And we're hanging out Volcano Bean. We're hanging out with Gene and Matt, talking about their game Battlecakes. So we met you last year.
That's right. That's right.
So can you talk, for somebody who didn't know about Battlecakes, you give the elevator speech of what it is.
All right. So we like to refer to Battlecakes as a snack-sized RPG. It's got some classic JRPG mechanics. And yes, you are a cupcake in a world of magic and adventure. We also have a battle or befriend mechanic. So when you are out adventuring in the world, you can choose to smite your enemies or settle your differences in friendlier methods. We like to say you can save the day your way, if you will.
I feel like you're full of puns. I'm just going to say that right now.
The team is fond of that.
You got the puns. So I played a little bit of Battlecakes, and the demo this year has a little bit more than it did last year. The first thing I noticed was the writing inside of the game. A lot of the NPCs, to me, the writing was always solid, but I just noticed it more being like wittier. Did you guys put a focus on that, or what has changed in the last year? I know that's a very generic question, but what has all changed in a year?
Well, much to our delight, we are actually kind of expanding our core group a little bit. We've brought in a couple more people onto the team. One of the people that we actually have assisting us with our writing endeavors is Kevin Snow of Brave Mule. He's actually here demoing this weekend. If
you might see him later on.
Yeah, he's brought Where the Water Tastes Like Wine, and you can demo the game and talk to him about that. He's one of the writers on there, so he's been actually doing some writing duty. And he's just been doing some great work with us. Like, we mesh really well. He's a really good part of the team. And I feel it's just kind of creating a new level of depth to the game that, maybe we're just kind of missing before.
So one of the things I noticed with my playthrough is the art style stands out. It's probably when you see, here we have about 50 indie games at this festival this year. You see things that stand out. And the art style in this clearly stands out. Is that by design, or is that just a happy accident of like, this is the art style we went with?
I mean, the goal wasn't specifically officially, we need to not look like other games.
You don't know, be an 8-bit game. Nothing wrong with that. But
I feel like I should be passing the mic back to you. The aesthetic is partially like just stuff we like, and Matt's the primary artist on the game, so a lot of it is like growing up with a love of cartoons and comics, and like having delightful, fun things. Like the style kind of evolved. So it wasn't like, oh, we can't look like other games so much as like, what is the tone we're trying to achieve for this adventure? What kind of art style fits well with that? And I think, that the game does stand out as a result, but that wasn't like the initial goal. But I think that's kind of what happened. It's kind of like a product of who we are and our influences resulted in a game. We're like, oh, that kind of doesn't look like other things.
So you said cartoons as an influence. What cartoons? I'm a big cartoon man myself. What'd you watch growing up?
Oh, I mean, so for me, it was like a lot of 80s cartoons, and these days it's a lot of the Cartoon Network stuff, like Steven Universe.
Because you have 2 younger daughters, so I'm sure you watch it with them.
Oh, so much. A lot of the stuff that's like on Netflix, but like I said, Cartoon Network, like Teen Titans Go, Adventure Time. I'll let you chime in on the cartoon question also.
Gosh.
Where do I start?
I mean, obviously, like, being a child of the 90s, like, The Simpsons was actually a really big influence to me, just because they were always able to take, like, all the things that we were familiar with in the real world and kind of break them down and condense them and kind of almost give them a bit of an abstract quality to where you recognized it, but everything kind of existed in this world kind of holistically. So a lot of what like Matt Groening did when designing the things for The Simpsons really kind of went into my mentality of trying to create a world look. So everything kind of follows certain rules. Like certain things get like this nice Conte red outline. Certain natural things don't. So on and so forth. Just trying to kind of create a visual language that's kind of comfortable and easy on the eyes for people who might be experiencing video games for the first time.
Gotcha. So the character creation screen, there's quite a few options. Could we talk about kind of where the hairstyles came from, the color? Obviously, we're a cupcake. Cupcakes are usually traditionally, without icing, would be either chocolate or vanilla, but we can be purple and other colors as well. Where did the character creation concept come from versus saying, you're this character, go?
So, the beautiful thing about cupcakes is they are what you make them. I mean, they start out as essentially a really sweet muffin, but then, you know, the more personalization that you put into a cupcake, the more it becomes something that's kind of a reflection of yourself. And it sounds kind of deep, but that's kind of something that I think we wanted to kind of achieve with Battlecakes, is to make it to where it's not just, you know, a video game character you're pushing around. It's kind of a little extension of yourself that you put together, you built it, and it feels good to let that little cupcake run into that world and go adventuring on your behalf.
My cupcake had dreads, which is really cool because I've yet to see a cupcake with dreads.
Yeah, so we really want to keep an eye towards you know, inclusivity, to make sure that, you know, no matter who's playing the game, they find little nuggets of personality, things that kind of resonate with them, that they can then stick on their cupcake. They're like, okay, so that cupcake looks like me now, or that cupcake looks like something that I like, and so giving them all of those different options to personalize their cake for adventure is kind of part of that.
Can you change your appearance? Or is that a plan to change your appearance down the road? Maybe change hairstyles down the road or anything like that? Or once you set it, are you done?
No, I mean, we want to make sure that it's, you know, it's free form and fun. So the idea is to, in different towns and stuff, when you get there, every town will have a salon with its own set of frosting and like accent styles and stuff.
I like that a lot.
So when you pull into town, you're like, you know, I want to blend in with the locals. So I'm gonna put on this crazy whipped cream style here. I'm gonna throw these sprinkles on there. Ah, cool. Now I'm ready to go hit the town.
Gotcha. Do you have anything to add to that? Nope.
I mean, with, adding quickly to the character creation thing, like video games are really unique in terms of it's the interactivity of the medium. You can't read a book and decide, oh, I wish this character had the same color skin I did, or I wish this character had a different name. Like, you know, it's a really unique element to games, and again, in the interest of like inclusivity and just making a space where you can kind of play and be who you want to be and adventure the way you want to be. Like, was something we really wanted to take advantage of. Like, we liked, and like, character creators are just fun.
Yes.
Like, I know a lot of people are like, man, I spent like an hour on the character creator and I haven't even gotten to the game yet. So
well,
like,
that's
the favorite part of the game.
Yeah.
Well, like I told you, we always name our characters Bumblefart, Pumpernickel. And the reason that happened is that a little story from that is it started one day just coming up with a name, and then from there it just kept going. So every character we did, and eventually we got a nationality, we got like a backstory. And it's funny because it's taken its own life, and it's just like it's become bigger than what that first character was. And it's so cool because people in our community latch onto that. That's the name they know. So
yeah,
it's
really funny.
I can't remember what we played Tour de France, and that's what we figured out. I think Croatian is where Bumblefart's from.
All right then.
So, little fun fact. The other thing I want to ask about is the combat. So you talked a little bit. You can either be friend or foe to somebody. You can attack or befriend them. What's the advantage to befriending or attacking? Is there one, or is it just kind of how you want to play the game?
It's more how you want to play the game. Like, we don't want to punish someone for like attacking adversaries in the game. There are different ways the game will play out narratively, a little differently. Like, we're still developing kind of the benefits of one style versus the other. And so they won't be like identical paths. You might not get identical rewards on each one, but we do want each one to be rewarding in its own way if that's how you choose to play. So potentially, you know, if you're befriending enough creatures, you know, there could be scenes that are unlocked where like you're interacting with them in a different way than like you would be able to if you were like smacking them down like all game long.
Gotcha. And like they'll remember like their race or whatever you want to call it. Whatever.
Yeah.
What do you call? What is it? Race for cupcakes? What is it?
I don't know, creature types.
A creature type.
Sure.
I had a question before and I just lost it. It was
Darn you announcers.
I know, right? The voice of God got in the way. No, with the befriend and the attack, we also had other things that I've noticed with like party size. So you have a party now. Is there a limit to how many people you can have in a party, or are you going to be able to swap them in and out on the go? How does that work?
So for this game, it's just the 3 party members. It's the core player, and then their 2 allies. And
Red Velvet and
Midnight Truffle.
That was it.
Yeah, you got it. So yeah, it'll just be the 3 of them for this game.
Cool. And do they have anything? They had different abilities. Are those going to grow as time goes on? Do they have their own skill tree? Because I saw a skill tree for my character.
Do you
I've spoken around.
I can. So skills are very much in their early inception, but right now the idea is to have kind of a branching magic system for Midnight Truffle. You can see he's right there. He's got his little magic wand.
He's got the emo hair going on too.
He does. He does have the emo comb over. It's been very popular amongst people who have come. They always like Midnight Truffle. So
He's one of us.
So the 4 different flavors actually govern the 4 different elements of magic. So there's sour magic, sweet magic, savory, spicy.
You guys love the puns.
Oh, we do.
We love the puns.
You are in dad joke territory when you're hanging out with us, it's for sure. But then, Red Velvet is actually she's actually kind of your mentor. Like, she's a much better town guardsman than you are.
Mm-hmm.
So you kind of go to her for advice, but also she's very good at tracking and with her archery skills and stuff like that. So kind of working that kind of ranger character into her, and then for yourself is kind of the standard swordsman or the friendly guy at a party who just wants to do cool tricks and stuff and try and be your friend.
Get everybody like, hey, I did this. So what's the target audience? Because it's one of those games where I was saying childish, I feel it's potentially got a negative connotation, but to me it doesn't. It's one of those games where I feel like if I'm 6, I could play this game, but if I'm 27, I could play this game as well. What's your guys' target audience, or is it kind of like a game for everybody, for family?
I've always wanted to make a game for everybody, and working with Gene and Mary, they're of that exact same mindset. So it was kind of a no-brainer. It's like, let's make something to where if you're a new gamer who's coming in and playing an RPG for the first time, it clicks with you.
It's not intimidating.
It's not intimidating. It feels good. It's comfortable. You're here for that. But if you're somebody like me who grew up with the old Final Fantasy games on NES, there's going to be a lot of things in there that you recognize and resonates with you. And there's going to be little inside jokes and callbacks to those games of your youth. You're like, okay, cool. So this game gets me too.
Gotcha.
And part of the reason we got into making games in the first place was because of our children. We grew up loving games, and then our kids were getting into games, and so they're kind of our first line of play testing. So it's very much we want to do something that's suitable for them, but we also want to walk that line of Pixar and Disney, where the kids love it, but it's smart enough.
There's adult humor in there
enough,
somewhere.
Yeah, for the adults to enjoy it too and really get something out of it, and not be pandering in a way that parents are going to be wah, wah, okay, whatever.
How
it
honest
really
are
is all ages?
How honest are your kids when they play test it? Do they how good is their feedback?
Oh, it's good. It's real good.
They're like, hey, we broke this, or we did this.
Well, and they're full of suggestions, and it's fun. It's helpful.
So item-wise, there's a couple items that I saw we could pick up in this. One was being health. One was some sort of red tree juice that I didn't actually use. Yeah. And there's the third one. I can't remember what it was. But I assume it's going to be magic-based. It's going to be traditional RPG style when it comes to mana, HP.
Yeah, those elements will definitely be in there. There's also various other items in the world that you could actually give mint to a gumdroplin, and they would like it better. There's almost an element of gifting to some of the items you can find in the game. But yeah, you'll definitely have standard potions for health and magic, etc.
And we're also making sure that we're kind of keeping consistent with our world building, so every one of the items that you get are technically things that a cake could use. So your first, instead of getting a potion, you're actually getting a first aid frosting, because when something mauls a cupcake, they really just need to kind of put frosting back on.
Put it on, cover up the
wounds. They're good to go. So keeping those items consistent with the world that we're building is something that we're keeping an eye on as well.
Gotcha. And the last thing I noticed was there was a camp area that I don't believe I went to last time. What is that? Because I couldn't really do anything there outside of talk to people. What is that used for?
Well, traditionally you'll use it to save your game and stuff like that. But also the fact that really there's not a whole lot else to do there but talk to your fellow NPCs is actually kind of the point. We're kind of moving into a time period where cozy gaming is becoming a lot more prevalent, where sometimes there really just isn't much more of a point than just kind of hanging out and talking with your friends and just kind of seeing what their feelings are on the adventure. So including that campsite kind of gives us a little bit more room for exposition, storytelling, and to let the narrative kind of be driven by the player as he shares that adventure with his NPC friends, or her.
Is there, last question, our weapon, by default, is a sword that you pick up in, assuming it's your room. Is there going to be new weapons as you go down the road? I assume there potentially will be upgrades to it. Will they look fancier? What punish name do you have for them?
I don't think they have names yet, but we are working on a system where there's a series of weapon upgrades. I believe they're going to be styled after the theme of the town. So if you're in a crystal gem area, then you could get a crystal gem blade of some kind and that kind of thing. So you'll definitely have, in addition to the toppers that can give you different buffs and stuff, we'll be working on weapon upgrades
Would it be
as well.
just for your character or your other two in the party as well?
Right now, we only are working on it for the player, but
Okay.
we're also discussing what the best option is for the other two.
Yeah, because
So-
you play
To
as
be
them in
determined.
battle, but
Yeah.
you're not them, so it kind of makes sense.
Yep.
So that's a weird way to put it. Last question: where can we check out Battlecakes? Where can we follow development? Where can we find you guys? Social media, whatever it may be.
So we are Volcano Bean on pretty much all major social media. You can also go to volcanobean.com or battlecakes.com and sign up for our newsletter. We also have a web demo available on our itch.io page. I believe there's a link from our
There'll be a link down in the
site.
description if we're good.
Excellent.
We'll
That
put
would
it
be-
down there if we remember.
Yeah. So there's a variety of places you can check it out.
Cool. Thank you guys so much. I told you before we started recording that I love this game. It's very much. I'm not a hardcore RPG guy. My first kind of RPG experience was Elder Scrolls Online, and I've gotten sucked into it. Yeah, I got sucked into it, and this kind of stuff to me is like accessible. I'm never going to go play Final Fantasy or anything like that, but this, like you said, has the elements that are there for the deeper aspect, but getting into it doesn't seem like, oh, I need to know 50 million terms.
Yeah, and being like parents and grown-ups, like there's a different time availability than that we used to have in high school. So like we're trying to find that sweet spot of like I can come in, I can play, I can get like
I don't have to
something
play
I can get
500
into.
hours.
Yeah, but it's still going to feel rewarding and like I went to this place and saw this cool stuff and still feel like it was value your time.
Cool. That is Battlecakes. That's from Volcano Bean. Thank you guys so much for watching, and as always, welcome to the second level. Bye.
No game, but they saying welcome to the second level.